All right now the president is meeting with Senate Democrats to hammer out a plan on the budget. Now a report that the Senate Budget Chairman, Democrat Kent Conrad, is proposing a 3% surtax on millionaires. But could this be dead on arrival when the president meets with Republicans tomorrow? Senator John Thune is planning to be at that very meeting tomorrow. He joins me now. Senator, the tax on millionaires, what do you think?
It's an instinctive reaction of Democrats when you have a deficit to want to raise taxes, Neil. It's just not the right answer. We have a spending problem, not a revenue problem. And I know they're trying to find creative ways to tax people to try and get us out of this. But at the end of the day, I think the American people realize that Washington, D.C.'s problem isn't a lack of revenue. It is too much spending. And that's where this debate needs to be focused. I hope that the president will deliver a message to the Senate Republicans tomorrow when he meets with us about his plan to rein in out-of-control federal spending.
But by going after millionaires, it's one thing to say don't raise taxes on the $250,000 crowd. They're trying to put you, that is Democrats, in the position of defending millionaires. Are you comfortable with that?
I'm sure they are. I mean, that's part of the whole plan here, is to try and create a political winner that allows them to raise taxes. But again, if revenue were the issue, that might be a solution, but it's not. This is a spending problem. We need to focus on spending. And frankly, I don't know, all the proposals I've seen in the past to put a tax on millionaires, I don't know how much that in the end would raise anyway. And again, it's going to hit a lot of small businesses, because a lot of small businesses, as you know, file individual tax returns and have their business income flow through to those tax returns. So it's a tax increase at a time when we don't need tax increases, we need spending cuts.
Gotcha. Senator, we just got the numbers out on the April budget numbers, and it shows we're still cruising toward a $1.4 trillion deficit, but at least the red ink was cut in half in April from what it was the April before. What do you think would have been the case had those tax rates, particularly for the wealthy, been retroactively ratcheted up? More, less?
I think you'd have, in the end, you're going to see less. Obviously, you can look at historically and possibly you get a little short-term pop in revenue, but what you do is you decrease the incentive for people to invest, and that's why marginal income tax rates are so important. You want to have the lowest possible marginal income tax rates on individuals, on capital gains, so that you're not taxing investment, and you're encouraging people to go out, invest, to take their realizations, and to pay taxes. That's what's happened in the past. Anytime you've reduced marginal income tax rates, we've seen it historically, or capital gains or dividend rates, you see not less revenue but more revenue. So my view on that is, if that had gone through, if they had raised taxes on those high income earners and a lot of our small businesses, you probably would deepen the recession by lessening revenues coming into the federal government, because you're going to lessen the amount of economic activity that goes on.
I raised the point with you, Senator, because among the issues that might be broached tomorrow with you Republicans by the president, his economic team, is the so-called trigger. That when you're not reading certain numbers or deficit goals, there's a trigger, and it would likely be a tax trigger, not a spending trigger. In other words, to make up the shortfall, raise taxes, not necessarily cut spending. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't like it. What they want to focus on is a debt trigger, so that if the deficit target isn't hit, it gives them an excuse to raise taxes. That puts no straitjacket on spending. I mentioned here the issue being spending, Neil. If you look at the last 40 years, there have only 5 times where we have actually balanced the budget. Every single time, it's because we spent less as a percentage of our total economy than the historical average. So that would be a non-starter with John Thune?
Absolutely.
It's going to be a non-starter with me, and I think it's going to be a non-starter, because what it is an excuse to raise taxes. What that is it's code for a tax increase.
Senator, I look forward to the results of that meeting. Thank you very much, sir. Good seeing you.
Sounds good, Neil. Thank you.